Welcome, Solarah here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I haven't been back since the full moon in Leo because I've had to deal with a lot of personal activations and rebalancing myself and looking after myself before coming back and doing things on YouTube for the collective. I do want to let you know that when I'm not posting consistently on YouTube, you will find me posting consistently on Substack. And the reason for that is it is easier for me to write through those really difficult energies when, I'm dealing with a lot of the processing on a personal level. It's easier for me to write because that's something I naturally do anyway, versus coming on here and doing videos. A lot of the time in the midst of those densities, there's a lot of pushback against my coming on here too. And like I said to you before, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not pushing back against these energies. I will just find new ways to do what it is I have to do while maintaining my own sense of personal peace. I'm not here to war, okay? And a lot of the time when I was coming on here on YouTube, I had to push past a lot of shit. I had to do ritual work to help to stabilize the energy and yada yada. And I'm not doing that. If the energy is not clear for me to come on to YouTube now, I'm not engaging in wars. I will continue to express myself to who wants to show up and hear me on Substack. And so I write there. I also do a podcast, a word for your day. It's not every day at this point because I do more writing, and I do a word for your week also for my patrons. And I will also do daily alchemy, which are my energy messages I do a few times a week. And I've recently started to record those also. I kind of am enjoying recording and presenting those in audio format too. So if you are feeling like you need extra support and you're vibing with me and you like the way I break down energies and I help you to ride the wave of these things, and I'm not here on YouTube very often, I do invite you to Substack. There are both options for paying subscriptions and free subscriptions, and you do still get quite a lot through the free subscription. And while I'm on the Substack subject, I just want to add that I will be offering my patrons on Substack now monthly Q&A sessions. Okay, so the first one is Sunday, February the 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is an opportunity for some of you to come and especially those of you who are not able to do one-to-one with me, the soul recovery sessions I offer. It's an opportunity for us to come together, talk about what we're going through in Ascension. You can ask me any questions and I will answer them to the best of my ability in accordance with my own expertise and divine guidance. So that is for my Substack patrons. Don't fret if you don't want to join Substack and become a member and you'd like to become a part of these Q&A sessions. I will be rolling out later on another Q&A session for those of you who are not on Substack. It will have a theme, so it might be very much focused on, tarot astrology. Those of you who want to have more of an insight on, your chart, or very focused on healing through ritual. There will be themes for those Q&As, and you can sign up for them for a nominal fee. The whole point is to give you access right now, okay? But to also stay in my own value. Alrighty, so yes, that's what I have for you in terms of announcements. The last thing I have to say, because it's been 2 weeks, is that since I've last saw you, I've added 3 new offerings to the Ko-Fi shop. I have added a Solar Plexus recovery decree. We're going to get into a little bit of the energies surrounding the full moon in Leo and the craziness that has been happening in that 2-week span. And the Solar Plexus recovery decree was written in order to help you clear some of those energies. It's a solar plexus recovery decree for dismantling the envy programming of the matrix is really what it comes down to, the envy and the lack of programming. I also have put onto my Ko-Fi shop the full tarot astrology report for 2024. That is a 34-page offering with a breakdown of what you can expect based upon what it was I was channeling and the energies of this year, as well as a manual I wrote quite a while back now, but I'm releasing it publicly on Ko-Fi. Those of you who are patrons on my Substack, you already have access to these things, just so you know, so you don't go and pay twice. But the third thing is spiritual warfare manual. Okay, so there are 3 new offerings: the Solar Plexus Recovery Decree, the 2024 Full Tarot Astrology Ascension Report, as well as my Spiritual Warfare Guide and Manual. Okay, so all of those things are available. You can find them in the link. I'll put it in the description box below. It is ko-fi.com/Solarah. Okay, so yes, I think those are all the announcements. Welcome if you are visiting here for the first time. I invite you to stay and hang out with me, but only if you're feeling aligned to what it is I'm saying in my energy, because this is not a time to be hanging out in places where we don't like other beings, or where we, because then we're out of alignment. It's not a time to be out of alignment. If you don't like what someone is saying, keep it moving, keep it respectful, etc., etc. That's fine. As a gift of self-love to ourselves, we should not be in places where our souls are not in alignment. It's especially important right now that we know this and we honor ourselves in that specific truth. Okay, so please only stick around if you're vibing with me. Alrighty, and if you are vibing with me, then I invite you to do the YouTube thing, to like, to share, to comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to know when I'm posting. Welcome to those of you who are returning. It's so good to have you here. It's good to be back. Thank you for your support and for your patience. I hope you're doing well, because this window, this full moon in Leo, was a doozy. It was a shit show also, but in the best way, okay? Because and those of you who have very strong Leo energy in your charts, or even very strong fixed sign energy, you probably felt this maybe more than others. But this full moon in Leo was here, and all of the full moons opening this year are here to help us clear out the root energies from the previous golden age that contributed to our own fall. Okay, so those are some big fucking energies and templates that we are responsible for shifting, which is why, it's been very, very intense. Not only that, but as we are clearing and shifting, we are also recalibrating and reprogramming. We're recalibrating and reprogramming the waters. Very specifically, the waters are the ways through which all information travels, and Aquarius is an expert at this, hence the reason why it's called the water bearer, because the Aquarian energy is the last of the air signs on the zodiac wheel, and as such the Aquarian energy is here to bring emotional intelligence to the intellect of air. Okay, so it's a very powerful sign for bringing equilibrium to the mental and the emotional bodies. And it's important that we bring equilibrium to the mental and the emotional bodies, because that is how we begin to then materialize and manifest realities that are in alignment with our truth. The Matrix, the previous ages had us learn how to program our minds away from our hearts, and in doing that it caused schism within our own energy fields that had us at war with self. And when we're at war with self, then we're constantly having to engage in other wars with other beings, wars with other energies. There's always this resistance you have to push past just to be who you are. And the whole point of the age of Aquarius is bringing us back into that place of living authentically and in alignment with our divine truth. Okay, now that is the evolved energy of what the age of Aquarius is bringing. We are always dealing with polarities. So on the other hand, the age of Aquarius is also introducing us to the shadow aspects of Aquarius, and that is the introduction of technologies that if we don't learn how to tame ourselves and our own egos and to be in correct divine alignment, those energies will get the better of us, right? But that's a bit of a different story that I'm not going to get into today. I have spoken, like I think it was maybe the first video of this year I did, where I spoke about the fission energy and how the split and how it's going to occur, how we've been existing in two worlds, and those two worlds are becoming more and more definitive in their differences, and the more they become more defining in their own polarities, the more the split is going to continue until we will have literally two worlds that are existing independently. At least that's how I've been shown it. Okay, so yes, and it will be based upon our ability to alchemize our own shadows versus those beings who choose to continue to live completely out of divine alignment and truth. And this is why we're also feeling these things so powerfully. So the full moon in Leo was all about, well, it's about many things, but one main theme of the full moon in Leo was about clearing the solar plexus of those root, lack, and envy programs. The root, lack, and envy programs. Okay, now before I get into how those programs got to be and how they expanded and materialized collectively based upon our own individual stories, let me just give you a bit of a breakdown on an energetic level of the importance of the solar plexus. Okay, so we will often hear in the spiritual community about we all have a divine blueprint, right? And I like to say you have a blueprint and you have a gold print. And your gold print is the expression, the material expression of your blueprint. Now, your blueprint is connected to the throat chakra. Your gold print, the expression of the blueprint, is connected to your solar plexus. Now, why is this important? Because your upper chakras, in the 7 chakra system, your upper chakras, and there are a lot more chakras, and we are actually shifting completely through ascension also back into the organic chakra alignment. But because we know the 7 chakra system, let me explain to you how that works when it is actually functioning in divine alignment, okay? Your upper chakras are how you receive the cosmic data you need in order to be in alignment with your truth and to know who you are cosmologically. The crown chakra is how you receive messages into your material reality through your thoughts, etc. Okay, it's the crown chakra. Your third eye chakra is kind of like a processing unit. It takes all that information and it begins to show it to you in order for you to begin to decide what it is that you want to align and to make sense of it. That's what the third eye is. The third, it's the chakra of discernment, right? It's where we begin to make sense of all the messages and the information. And your throat chakra is where you begin to establish your truth frequency, establish the message you live by. Okay, that's the establishment of divine will. Who you are divinely is established in your throat chakra, which is why it's aligned with truth. Okay, and truth is subjective. We all have our own truth. We all have our own path that helps us, path and purpose that helps us to walk in alignment with that individual truth. The Matrix liked to make things seem like there was an absolute truth, because in doing that, it took all of us out of alignment, where we were therefore giving up our individual truth and therefore giving that energy to an external absolute, quote unquote, and its primary design in teaching us that, which is what religion is about, was to take us out of divine alignment. And the reason why the Matrix was so hung up on keeping you out of divine alignment is because whenever you walk out of divine alignment, you are no longer protected. And when you are no longer protected, you are easily vulnerable to all the fuckery. Okay? So when you are walking in your truth, you gain protections on every plane. When you are not walking in your truth, you are easily scavenged and opened for attack, opened for harvesting. Which is why it was imperative that they kept you out of divine alignment, kept you from walking in your truth, so that your fields would stay opened in order for the energy harvesting templates to be successful. Okay, so at every turn, the Matrix's design was to have you assign your individual divine purpose, was to have you betray that and put that energy instead towards what they said, their rules, their systems, their guidelines, their goalpost, their emblems of success. Because the more you betray your truth, the more you move out of divine alignment. The more you move out of divine alignment, the further you move out of divine alignment, the more you're able to be utilized in the energy harvesting tactics. Whether you're utilized because you can be used as an energy source to be harvested from, or you can be used as a being who helps to tap into those energy-rich beings. Okay, so everyone was being played in this whole game, including those ones who were energy harvesting you, the karmics that were purposely doing, they were being used too, because they're out of divine alignment also. Okay, so that's the whole point of keeping you, because when you are out of divine alignment, you lose protections. Okay, so you can say your divine alignment is kind of like being at the center point, almost like, oh, this is the perfect example. The glyph for the sun or for gold is the dot in the center of the circle, which is actually the beginning of the wave, right? You are supposed to walk in alignment with that dot. When you move out of that center energy, the center energy of that dot, the farther away you move, the more vulnerable you become. And so everything in the Matrix was designed to keep you out of that. And everything in Ascension has been taking you back to that bullseye point. And this full moon in Leo, which of course the sun is what rules Leo. So that glyph is connected to that energy too, right? This full moon in Leo has been about clearing out the nucleus energies, the seed point energies that began our moving away and out of divine alignment, which is why it was so fucking intense. And I told you guys that this was the year where 2024, because of its numerology, it's the number 8, right? Which in the tarot is a strength card, but it's also the star card, the number 17 card, the cards of Leo and Aquarius, but the strength card is a card more associated with the Leo wounded energies that must be overcome for us to connect with our hearts. This is the year where we're dealing with all of the ego wounds that take us out of divine alignment. It's ego that takes us out of divine alignment, or imbalanced ego. Your ego is there to protect you, but when it becomes bigger than your bigger than your higher self, it becomes a problem. It causes you to live out of balance, and when we live out of balance, we're living out of alignment. And again, that balance is personal. It's not something that you get to by following someone else's rules, because it's an individual alignment that can only be accessed internally by you. You get what I'm saying? Which is why at every turn the Matrix wants you following other people and their ideas and having other people do energy work to put you back into alignment. No. Those things have a purpose up to a certain point. But if you want to get all the way home, you better stop depending on other people to put you there. They can't. They literally can't. It's a job that only we can do individually. And this is what the Hermit card in the tarot shows us. And as we move to the full moon in Virgo, this energy of knowing this is going to be very important. This energy of trusting yourself fully to get you where you need to go is going to be very important. And that's not to say we don't come together and offer one another guidance and support, but we don't look to other people to tell us how to get to where it is that only we can go. That's like going to a person and saying, I need to get to Timbuktu, and this person doesn't have a map, never been there in their lives, and you're still asking them, and then when they tell you that, and they say, well, I guess you could try this way, instead of going and finding the real person who has a map, you listen to them instead. You be the person with the map for how you get out of here. You've always had it. That's part of your blueprint. Okay, so your gold print is how you begin to actualize your blueprint. Your blueprint is divine will. Okay, who you are cosmologically, who you came here to be, who you're crowned as, who you are when you're living in your truth. Okay, your gold print is when you begin to take your will and your passion and your drive and your focus and your confidence, and you take your emotional energy and you begin to channel it towards expressing it and bringing it into being. And you do that through the sacral. The sacral is through the waters. You begin to connect with the emotional energies. The sacral and the womb are places of not only manifestation and creation, but they're also places of multiplication. Whatever is put into the sacral will multiply, which is why they needed the solar plexus out of balance and operating on lack and envy programming, so that that's what would be multiplied in your waters and established through your root. So what we've been going through here is a clearing and a recalibration of the waters and the root in order to also sustain the upgrades and the reprogrammings that are happening as the solar plexus is purged of these lack and envy programs and all of the entities that were attached to these programs and facilitated them. And I'm not talking about entities in your own fields personally. I'm talking about the entities that were attached to these programs that we succumb to. You see, the minute you no longer succumb to the program, the entity doesn't have access. It's not living in you. It's connected to you and it's controlling your reality because you're allowing the connection to stay open unconsciously because of your programming. But when you reprogram yourself, you close the fucking doors on those fucking entities and energies that have only had access to you because you bought a program, because you didn't know better. We didn't know better. And what are those programs? Those lack and envy programs. From the time you enter the matrix, you are told how it is you are supposed to be. You are removed from your ability to connect with your own intuition and drive and your own inner wisdom and guidance. Okay? This even begins with how your parents parent you. I remember when I became a mother for the first time, the guidelines they give you as a parent are completely in opposition to the health of the autonomy of your child and their health in general. You know, things like, leave the baby to cry it out so that they can learn how to behave. That's not raising a human being. That's behavior modification. The Matrix was a behavior modification program in order to get us to do certain things out of fear. So a baby learns very early on, if I don't shut up, I don't get attention. It's all fear, shame, and guilt based. Okay? And even like for me, my pediatrician told me to start feeding my daughter rice when she was I think 4 months old. And the first time I gave it to her, it was like I could see that it was like a drug to her. And I stopped. I said, no, that's no good. And I stopped giving it to her and continued to just nurse her and introduce her to different foods that were natural. Because what white rice does is, yes, it's a hypoallergenic food, right? So it means that as a first food, it's good because baby will not develop a lot of allergies to it. But it fucks with the microbiome, for one thing. And for another thing, it creates a dependency on sugar. Now, people would argue, well, breast milk is very sweet. Yeah, but breast milk is the perfect balance of what baby needs. Breast milk is a lot of fat. Pure white rice is nothing but sugar. It turns into your bloodstream into sugar instantly. Not slowly, instantly. Because it's bleached and it's refined and it's stripped of all fiber. Okay, so that's the first food that we're giving children in the West to get them addicted to sugar, but to also put their bodies in disease, in a state that is open to disease. That's what that is, and it's all connected to what these systems are designed to do. These systems were designed to get you stuck in decaying cycles. Now, we are cyclical beings. We are designed to live cyclically. We are designed, in other words, and we chose this. We chose to come to Earth to experience time. Okay, and time occurs in cycles. Everything occurs in cycles, right? So there's nothing wrong with a cycle. Where we get out of divine alignment, and remember, when you're out of divine alignment, you lose protection. Okay? You get out of divine alignment when you stay in a cycle past the point of expiration because your soul has already graduated from the lesson. Which means there's nothing that you've ever been through that is actually bad unless you've stayed past the point of expiration for you. And for you, it's going to be different than for everyone else. Not everyone else is on the same timeline. Not everyone else has the same purpose. Not everyone else came here to ascend all the way. So, for example, there are some people who are still tuning in to readers who talk nothing about who talk only about karmic justice and it's going to happen to this person, and they're holding on to that story. And 5 years from now, they might still be doing that, and they're stuck in a karmic loop. Okay, because those stories, those readings are helpful. They are. They're helpful for when you need to wake up and see what's going on. But once you've woken up, then it's time to move to the next cycle to get you out farther away from that. You feel me? So when you're out of divine alignment, it's not about the cycles aren't bad. It's when you get stuck repeating a cycle that you don't need to repeat, because you've already learned the lesson, and you'll know that you're repeating a cycle because it gets uncomfortable. Okay, it gets uncomfortable. You start to suffer in some kind of way. For those people who are still listening to these karmic stories, they get agitated. Where is my karma? You're not doing the work to break out of your own loop. You're in a loop, listening to the same thing because you haven't done the work to graduate. Okay, so they get agitated, right? That's causing suffering onto the soul. So that's just an example, guys, right? So you will, and we're learning also, there's no judgment here, because we have to learn by experience. We have to get stuck in order to learn the signals of what stuckness is, so that every time we get better. That's really what it is. There's no real judgment in that area at all. You get what I'm saying? And there's karmic judgment, but the karmic judgment we bring upon ourselves, and other beings bring upon themselves too, because we are sovereign beings, and that's part of our sovereignty too. Okay, and that's a whole, because it gets to be complex, and because of how we've been programmed in the matrix, a lot of people don't get this, because they live in that black and white, good and bad matrix programming that has them not able to see the intricacies of how things actually play out macrocosmically, right? I won't go too far out. I'm gonna come back because I can't stay here too long tonight. Okay. So back to the solar plexus and the lack programming. The lack and the envy programming of the matrix is based upon how they program us to follow a certain way of living and being. And because, there seem to be a variety of ways, it seems like there is freedom, but there isn't. There are a certain amount of scripts and roads and paths that you're supposed to walk in order to get rewarded, to get the pat in the back, and to get the matrix accolades. And when you don't walk those certain paths, you're shamed, you're shunned, etc. But this begins in childhood. Like I was saying with the baby training and all that other stuff, but think back to school. I know for me, in my schooling experience, I was targeted by teachers and I was bullied. And I was targeted for a whole bunch of reasons. I was targeted and bullied, and what that did was then it taught the other kids how to treat me too. Okay, so I was also a scapegoat in my schooling system. And I was the only black child outside of my other siblings in that school. So race was definitely a factor there. I was going to school in the suburbs of London in an all-white school in an all-white neighborhood. Race was an issue. But it's also because England is very much, they don't like to talk about these things. It's not like, I've been back and forth between the UK and America. In America, there's more talking about race. In the UK, more recently. But when I grew up, people didn't talk about race. It was about social status, and what you had was more important than race, right? Or at least they want you to think that. So anyway, race was a factor. The fact that I was coming from a family that was able to afford to put me in the school that they put me in was an issue. And because those teachers, completely white school, completely white staff, because they had an issue with race that they didn't want to confront within themselves. They didn't want to deal with their own shadow energies and their own programming around race. And because they especially couldn't stand to see a black child in their school, my parents could afford to put me there so they can't say anything to them, right? But instead of taking, they still had angst about it, that they couldn't really negotiate with my parents. So instead they used me as the punching bag for all of the shit they had in their own souls that was based upon their own prejudice, and their own inability to deal with their shadows. They took that out on me, and in doing so opened me up to being bullied by other children also. Okay, and I say that because I was the kid who was overlooked for everything in school. I was overlooked in sports. I was the last kid to be picked on the team. I was overlooked in the things that I excelled at. I was good at drama, art, singing, music. I was good at all those things. I was overlooked, and I was always made an understudy, or I was put in situations where things were purposely just taken away from me. Okay, I'd be given something or it'd be taken away from me. It was just when I look back on it now, it's just like, wow, that's really fucked up. And if I were a parent and I saw this happening, I'd be pissed. I'd do something about it, right? But that's a whole other story. Anyway, the point I'm making is that this lack programming, this envy programming, it begins through how in the schooling system they take some children, and the children who are able to regurgitate the information, they elevate them, and they're the kids who at the end of the year or end of term awards, they get all of the awards. And all of the other kids are sitting there like, one day that will be me, kind of thing. And so already, and things are better now, I know, in schools, but this was my experience. But already it's causing this this narrative within the majority of other kids where there has been a line of differentiation that's been drawn. You're not good enough. You don't get the award, yada, yada, yada. She gets the award because she can perfectly regurgitate what the systems and the programs have told her to do. So I say that because for as long as you're following the matrix programs in accordance with how they want you, behavior modification. Remember, it's all behavior modification. It's nothing to do with your education. For as long as you're modifying your behavior to produce and to do what it is they want you to do, they're rewarding you. And the ones who don't, who can't, or who won't are habitually shamed. Okay? And they're made to feel as if those other beings are better. And then those other beings who are excelling, because they're good little regurgitators, elevate themselves above the ones who don't, or can't, or won't. And now they have this false sense of ego and confidence that they're stealing from these other children. It's already energy harvesting. You get what I'm saying? And now what they're doing is now they're trying to make other people envious of them, and then calling them out for it. That's a big matrix a thing. They love to and this is what social media was supposed to do and to magnify. People who have things that in the matrix we connect with success. They love to come on these platforms and to flaunt it, and then to pretend like, oh my gosh, everyone's so jealous of me. Why are you so jealous of me? You're a hater. But that's the whole point. The whole point is to incite people's envy, is to incite their jealousy. You get what I'm saying? It's a covert game that keeps the programming that begins from childhood alive. This is why the matrix only elevates some people. There's no reason why everyone shouldn't shine. I know that seems to be like a crazy thing to say, but it's only crazy because of the programs of this world that we've become accustomed to. But the truth of the matter is, divinely, everyone has value. Everyone has treasure, and everyone has a right to live in accordance with that treasure and to be rewarded for that. That's the truth. But the matrix had to make everyone feel like they were less than. And when you feel like you're less than, when you start to compare yourself to other beings for where it is that you think you should be, or where it is you're supposed to be, and mind you, you're comparing yourself against people who are out of divine alignment, and this is part of the programming too, just to keep everyone fucked, then what you're doing is you are denying your own power and beauty and truth. And that was the point of the envy programming, to constantly have us looking outside of self to find out where it is we're supposed to be, either based upon the programs, the institutions, the traditions, the family, the friend from high school who has this and you don't have. All of these narratives that they're constantly popularizing are designed to keep their envy and lack programming alive. Okay, and this is what we were clearing. Okay, and the irony of the matter is that these beings who created the matrix are envious of you. Okay, and that's what it comes down to. These entities are envious of you, of who you are divinely, and you don't even know it. Right? And this is how it got played out with these other beings who, these karmic situations where these people were highly envious of you, but trying to make it seem as if you ain't shit. Because they're trying to siphon your confidence, because they see the richness in it because of who you are. Okay? It's all connected. So the full moon in Leo moving into the full moon in Virgo, this corridor, it's all about, and it's continuing. I want to say it's going to reach, like the full moon in Libra, when we have that eclipse, it's going to be like, psh, energy be gone kind of thing, for as long as we're not holding on to it. Hold on a second. Yes. Bye. For as long as we're not holding on to it, the full moon in Libra is going to want to take that shit out to bring the scales back into balance, right? But this is where the purging of these energies have to occur, because again, these beings who like to project things onto us because they are out of divine alignment too, they like to project their thought forms, their spells, their opinions in order to take us out of our power, right? The Five of Swords energy, to take us out of our power. Their spells, quote unquote, only work for as long as the energy is within us that matches. In other words, nobody can make you doubt yourself and your ability and your truth and your valor and your beauty and your glory and your shine if you don't first have those beliefs about yourself. So what we're dealing with now is all of those places where this is one-to-one self, where you are not connected, where I am not fully reconnected with my truth. This is what we're dealing with. So we've purged these assholes out of our reality, and now we're dealing with the food source. And this is what made it so intense. Okay, because the food source goes back to the nucleus energy, where it was implanted in us, in our consciousness, where the programming began back at the fall of Atlantis, back at the fall of the previous golden age, which was the age of Leo. Okay, now a note on divine alignment. Some people will tell you that we are immortal, and that would be true. You were not sent here to die. I've said it before. Death, physical death, is a result of being out of divine alignment. Okay, and this is not me saying we're going to get this in this lifetime, because we may and we may not. But the truth of the matter is the decaying cycles that we enter into, it's because we get stuck in a loop that we shouldn't be in. Think about water when it's stagnating. When water has free flow, it stays living and alive. It is immortal. When you take that water and you put it in a bowl, or you put it in a container and you put a lid on it, it will stagnate. It will get bad. It will become toxic. That's what happens with us, with disease. And not only that, but disease, because all of our diseases are a reflection of us living below our value and living and responses to all of the trauma of the matrix, right? It's connected to the entities that run the programs of the matrix. So again, I said before, when you no longer are aligning with the programs that were in your solar plexus, you are no longer connected to those entities. It's the same thing for sicknesses. And that's not me saying you're choosing to be sick. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. These programs run so deep. But the whole point of ascension is to get us back to the point where we are able to live in divine alignment. We haven't been able to live in divine alignment, not only because of the programs, but because of the sheer frequency fuckery and all of the magic and the spells and all the other things they were doing to us environmentally. Now we've dealt with a lot of that stuff. I know it might seem like we haven't, but we have cleared a shitload of that stuff. And the last thing we're clearing now is the most important thing. It's us. And I say it's the most important thing because it's through us. We are the bridges between heaven and earth. It is, and we've always been operating as bridges between heaven and earth, even when we were disconnected. Because in order to keep us stuck, they had to disconnect us in terms of us being bridges. We are the rainbow bridge. Your chakra system is how heaven is actualized through you onto the earth planes. So the clearing of your chakra systems, your ability to clear the woundings, the densities, the programs, the fuckery, and in doing so disable the entities that were connected to all of these programs and energies, is what is facilitating the return of heaven to earth. And this is what we're going through right now. And this is why it's so fucking arduous. Because we also have some notes here. So we've been clearing the entities that not only produce the lack programs, but that magnify them, because we're clearing and recalibrating womb energies, the energies of the waters. The waters are being regenerated and recalibrated. They're being taken out of stagnancy and they're being allowed to flow again so that they become the living waters they were supposed to be. And I'm not talking about the waters of the earth. I'm talking about the waters that connect everything. Everything is connected by waters. It's how you pull in psychic information. Everything is connected by waters. Okay, whether you can see those waters or not, because, you know, water exists in different what's it called, different states of matter. So you've got ice, you've got like liquid, and you've got vapor. And it's all real, whether it's solid, liquid, or gas, right? Everything, every realm, dimension, possibility in this universe is connected by waters. I hope that makes sense. So we've been clearing the waters so that our ability to flow cosmically again and access those things that we couldn't because of the stagnating of energies done by frequency fuckery, it can be cleared. I hope this is like some complex things to try and explain, and I hope that I'm explaining it in a way that makes sense. So not only are we clearing the waters, we're clearing those entities that lived to magnify these lack programs, because remember, the womb energies, the sacral energies, feminine energies magnify what they're given. And a good example of this, if you want to think about it this way, is through the process of conception. Okay, so a woman has an egg. And sometimes when mommy and daddy really love one another, they have this like really long hug. No, I'm joking. Anyway, when sex happens, right, and the sperm meets the egg, the sperm is what shifts the egg out of its dormant state. Okay, the sperm is the information that shifts the egg out of dormancy and activates it into coming alive. And the sperm gives it that information to be activated, but it also begins to give it like kind of identity, you could say, because the sperm is what determines gender, right? So then, after the sperm has done its job of activating the egg, within the womb space, that egg begins, the cells begin to divide to become a whole freaking human being. And so those cells are dividing. Right? Or one cell is dividing to become multiples, right? And this is what the womb energy does. This is what feminine energy does within the physical womb of a woman, but also within all of us, irregardless of gender. We all have feminine energy because we all have the ability to create and to magnify. Okay, so that's what the womb energy does. And so it was through the womb, through the sacral, through the hijacking of our sacral energies, that the lack programs and the lack and the envy programming in the solar plexus was being magnified. Now, the solar plexus is what connects you to your childhood conditioning and programming, which is why I was telling you about some of the ways that this occurs. The lack and the envy programming begins in childhood and in schooling systems, and in wounded adults and their projections and their rejection of their shadow selves and all that other stuff. Is because that's how that's the time when our solar plexus is being programmed, and then our sacral chakra takes that information. Much like the womb takes the information of the fertilized egg, and it begins to multiply. So you begin to multiply and create a reality based upon what you store in your solar plexus. And most of us were storing a lot of trauma, hence the reason why that was being magnified in our lives. And so the full moon in Leo was getting to the seed point of that, which is why for many of us, for many of you, it was very traumatizing. It was a re-traumatization of many timelines and themes that you probably experienced because they were all collapsing. But as they collapsed, you were feeling them and going through them as if you were actually living them in real time, when really you weren't. They were just collapsing. And this is where when we know this, we don't get lost, right? We don't get lost because, on the other hand, the matrix programming wants you believing what you're seeing with your eyes. So if I'm feeling this, if I'm experiencing it, it's tangible, then that's what's real. No, that ain't how it works, okay? So the full moon in Leo up until the full moon in Virgo, this is all about the clearing of, one second, so it will stop beeping, my phone. Okay. The full moon in Leo through the full moon in Virgo is all about the clearing of of those energies, the clearing of these entities that we're here to magnify, these lack programs, but it's also about the reprogramming of your electromagnetic alignments back to true abundance. So this gateway that we're going through, that's taking us through the full moon in Virgo, is all about the reprogramming of our true electromagnetic alignments to true abundance. So the matrix with its lack and envy programming that was based upon a lot of trauma and childhood wounding and the recycling of those energies fucked with your true electromagnetic integrity. As an electromagnetic being, you are constantly calling into your reality what is stored in your solar plexus by way of your heart. Okay? It's the heart and the solar plexus. This is why they're both Leo energies that work together to project energetically what it is that you are, just energetically, not consciously in your mind, just what you're storing in your fields. And whatever it is you're storing in your fields, you're calling more back. Because that's how you are designed electromagnetically, but you were taken out of alignment. Because you were actually sent here to electromagnetically call in everything that you want in your experience for as long as it keeps you in divine alignment. And divine alignment means that you are living in joy, you are living in love, you are living in bliss, and everything you need in order to continue to live in that state, you are able to call in towards yourself effortlessly, because that is your divine design when you're not all fucked up with blocks that are based upon trauma and wounding. So this is what, especially the full moon in Virgo, is helping to clear out the lack programming and the blocks that are designed to keep you out of electromagnetic alignment, or to keep your electromagnetic settings fucked. So you're calling in what it is you don't want, more of that. Okay, so that's what the full moon in Virgo is assisting us in clearing. This isn't like the full moon in Virgo is coming to do this shit for us. This is like, you're being assisted. You got to do the work of changing your mind about yourself and aligning with your truth so that you begin to call in what you know you are, because you are recalibrating your own system in accordance with how the planets, the constellations, the zodiac wheel is assisting you, the solar flares are assisting you. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. I'm going to finish by saying that, like Virgo season last year, there was a very real energy around the new moon in Virgo that, I gave a talk about becoming the Nine of Pentacles, becoming the Ten of Pentacles. Everyone wants to get the Nine and Ten of Pentacles, but you get it when you become it, because that's who you are divinely. And the Virgo energy is very interested in you becoming the truth, becoming who you truly are divinely in terms of your value. Okay? This is what the 9 and the 10 of Pentacles, which are Virgo cards, are about. Okay? So, I was talking last year about, around Virgo season, about this energy entering where the old world legacies were dying because a new one was coming forth. And I was also talking about how it's becoming more, it's going to become increasingly difficult for other beings to deny who you are. Who you are is becoming more, more obvious. It's undeniable for as long as you're embodying those energies, right? So, this full moon in Virgo is helping to further assist that. Okay? And so, who you are divinely, do you know who you are divinely? As we move into this full moon in Virgo, which is a moon, Virgo is all about liberating yourself into your truth so you can get on the fucking wheel of fortune and live dharmically. Virgo helps you to do that and to live dharmically with other beings. So, do you know who you are? Right? Like, really know who you are. And I'm not talking about like what other people have said to you that you are. There is a rising and a shining that is happening now for people who know who they are. And it's undeniable. And the only reason other beings won't be able to see that is people cannot see what they aren't themselves. Let me say that again. People cannot see what they aren't themselves. They can't see it clearly. So the more a person is in denial about who they are, the less they're able to connect with someone who is living authentically and in their truth. They're not able to see it clearly. They'll see you, they'll see your accolades, they'll see you doing well, they'll see whatever they see, but it doesn't mean they're able to connect with the truth of who you are. There are many masters that are rising and shining. And these masters within their own old karmic groups, these people will still look at you and call you a drunk or an addict or a fuck up or whatever it is, whatever story or narrative they wanted you stuck in forever so that you wouldn't connect with your mastery. And it doesn't fucking matter what they think. Do you know who the fuck you are? And not because you have to argue who you are, because then you're still wounded, because you're still trying to prove. No, do you know in your heart who you are? When these energies come to attack you like they did in the full moon in Virgo, and it's just you sitting curled up in fetal position on your bed, are you able to combat those energies with the truth and make them flee? Are you? Because those energies will only flee if you're serious. And what I mean when I say serious, it means it's one thing to say, I am this. But if you don't believe that shit in your heart, those energies are like, no, you're not. And they'll have you questioning yourself because you're not solid in your truth. This is what Jesus was showing, Yeshua was showing with the clearing of demons, the demons that came back and asked those questions. Because when the demon asks you a question, you better still stay grounded in your truth, and you will. You will if you believe it. You'll only start to stammer and question it if you still have not found solidity in who you are. And this is what this is about. It's about establishing solidity and solidarity with your truth and your power, so that when these entities try to come and fuck with you, they got nowhere to go, because they can only live within lies. They can only live within the personas that you have, that you and I have taken on unconsciously because of wounding. They can live in those places. They can have a fucking party and a field day, but you know where they can't live? In your aligned truth. In your aligned truth, they can't live or party there. And when they try to come, and even if they put you in the fucking fetal position, that don't mean shit. Once you put your foot down and tell them who the fuck you are, and you're saying it because you're connected with that in your heart, and it's not just something you're saying from your mind, but it's something that is truth, then they flee because the test is over. Well done, congratulations, you know who the fuck you are, you're in divine alignment, you can proceed from here. And this is what all of this that is going on right now is helping us with. That's why it's such a fucking walk in the park, right? So much fucking fun. So much fun, right? Many people will walk around pretending to be something or hoping to be something. And it's another thing to be that thing. And the Matrix was wonderful for people holding masks, putting on masks, and falsely being able to pretend to be something they're not. Matrix was wonderful for that, but the escape out of it means alignment in such a way, and your heart. You can lie with your mouth. You can even lie to yourself in your own mind, but the heart doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. What is in your heart cannot be hidden. It cannot be hidden. And these entities and energies that like to torture people know this, which is why when you state who the fuck you are, it needs to be from a place where your heart is as light as a feather and you've cleared out everything that has tried to convince you that you're anything but. I don't think I'm going to go into cards because I gotta go. It's already an hour in. So I want to thank you if you're still here. Thank you for hanging with me. Oh yeah, another message coming through is I did a pre-poll before I came in to see what some of the themes that were going on right now for my YouTube collective. And One card, I'm working on a new deck, and one card that came out is your guardian and birthing angels are speaking to you. Research, okay? And then because I got that, I went into my angel tarot, and at the bottom I got the comforting God, Hariel, 9 of Swords, okay? And what actually came out was Mebahel, 8 of Swords, which is God, protector and savior, and the Page of Swords, Ha'aya. I know I'm not saying these names right. God, the refuge. So this is all swords energy, okay? And the Page of Swords and the 8 of Swords equal the 9 of Swords, right? The 9 of Swords is about those mental prisons. No, the 8 of Swords, I'm sorry, is about the mental prisons. And the 9 of Swords is the rumination and the growing of that energy within your own mind. So, but the Page of Swords and the Ace of Swords are all about bringing clarity. Bringing clarity. And it's interesting because the Page of Swords is a researcher. And this card said, your guardian, I just realized this, your guardian and birthing angels are speaking to you, research. And when I say research, I'm not telling you to go do a DuckDuckGo search or to go and open a book. All the answers you need are within you. Okay? So, yes, you can go into books. Yes, you can go to other people. Absolutely. But don't ever limit yourself to thinking that research has to be something outside of you, because it doesn't have to be. Those things outside of you are only working to your advantage if they are connecting you to the information that's already within, if they're activating that information. Okay? So, 9s in tarot are connected to the Hermit. That is Virgo energy. This is Gemini, the 9 of Swords specifically, but 9s are connected to the number 9 card, which is the Hermit, which is the energy we're leading up to. And these are journeys that you can only take by yourself. You can only break out of these cycles by yourself. You can have guidance, you can have mentors, you can have help to get you, to tutor you through what it is you need to get through. But when it's time to take the test, to be broken out of the cycle, that is something you must do alone, right? And that's the Hermit energy. And so this is showing me there are some mindsets, beliefs about yourself that are still imprisoning you, that need to be combated with truth. Just like I said, when you're curled up in that fetal position because you're under some kind of attack and you're feeling like you want to end it all, or, you know, nothing is coming the way you want it to, always know that when you're taken to the brink of that, it's because you're on the cusp of breaking out of a cycle. You're on the very cusp, because it's like the 12th house energies. The 12th house is what breaks you out of the zodiac wheel into a higher level. It's what breaks you out of a cycle into a higher level. And it's in the 12th house that those hidden enemies come. Those hidden enemies that come to lie to you, to tell you you'll never get out. Yada, yada, yada. When those energies start to magnify in your reality and make you feel like shit and hopeless, then what you need to connect with is the truth, which is the Ace of Swords. What you need to connect with, I'm not even talking about the truth about who you are, because sometimes when you're in those positions, you can't access that. But you know what you can access? You can access this truth. And that is, energy is feeling like this. It's really tight because something's about to break through. I'm going into a higher cycle, and these energies, I've reached the threshold of something, and it's trying to push me back with these lies. Okay, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. I know I'm about to break through into something. Thank you for trying to scare me back into the old place, but I see you, haha. You know, Wizard of Oz, remove the curtain. I see you, old man. I see you. Those tricks don't work on me anymore. Your Matrix games don't work on me anymore. I see you. You're coming at me this strongly. You're making me want to give up and feel this because it feels real. Feels real. Right? You make me want to feel this in this fucking simulation because I'm about to break out into another cycle. Okay, well played. Well played. You almost had me. Well done. And then let the energy play itself out. Sometimes it breaks instantly, and sometimes it's a gradual breaking free, you know? And in those moments, feel free to call on your guardian and your birthing angels. I can't do this right now, guys. I'm going to go to sleep. You take it from here. I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that, and I've woken up in a completely different state. So, God the refuge, God protector and savior, and the comforting God. This is like your guides, your helpers. They've got your back. They've got our back through this process. This process is not easy, and they know this. They know this. These are all parts of yourself, by the way. That's how I see my guides. I don't see my guides as being deities. I see them as being multidimensional aspects of me, because they are. Because they are. Anywho, that's what I have for you. I hope that this talk, downloads, teaching, reading, whatever the fuck it was, I hope it was helpful. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was insightful. I hope that it broke you out of a lower frequency to help you go higher. I hope it broke you out of a stagnancy that wanted to keep you stuck, whether it's through the information I shared or just my talking. I hope that you feel better. And I hope that you continue to feel better. Because here's the thing, you came here to feel good. When you feel good, that's what you're feeding the grids. Because remember, you are the rainbow bridge. And what you are bringing forth through your energy, you are establishing on the earth planes. And you are establishing it through the energetic grids. You know how we just entered the year of the dragon? This is showing you everything about the new earth energies are now a go. The dragon energy, those be the dragon lines, the ley lines, the mother lines, mama's home. Yes? So be encouraged. I know that this is not easy. I'm going through my own shit too. You know, I'm feeling it all also. But I also know it's part of the simulation. You know? And even at the times when I fear that it's not, that's where I connect with what brings me back to the truth. And there's always help. There's always help, but we have to ask for it. Yes, so I'm sending you guys so much love. If you would like to connect with me on Substack, I'll put that information in the description box below. For all other information on how to work with me, my services, my readings, my tarot astrology reports, my soul recovery one-to-one sessions, you can find that on my website, solarah.com. Sorry, solarah.info. That's my website, but that's going to be in the description box below too. What else? Ko-Fi shop, if you want to purchase my decrees, I have quite a few of them on there now. I'll be releasing another one in the next few days too. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm sending you love, joy, peace, bliss, balance, stability, every beautiful thing that you need in order to come back into beauty and divine alignment, because that's your fucking birthright, okay? I'll see you again soon. Take care.